Hello, and welcome to the Energy Connect studio from Future Energy Asia 2023. I'm delighted having sitting next to me, Wen-Bin Qian, VP Clean Hydrogen and Large Investments at Linde, to come and talk to me about the hydrogen sector in Asia. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Julian, for having me here.
Could you just first touch on what Linde is doing around the energy transition?
Yeah, for Linde, this energy transition is really a strategic topic, and particularly I would mainly highlight the hydrogen piece, because Linde for the hydrogen is really nothing new. We have been in this industry for more than 50 years, 80 years. And Linde as a company is a leading industrial gas company, and today is more than 30 billion revenue. Actually, among this revenue, almost 3 billion is coming from hydrogen. Of course, hydrogen mainly coming from gray. So then, for Linde perspective, what shall we do? On the one hand, we need to grow. On the other hand, Linde, we need to decarbonize. That's why how to reconcile these two directions. That's why this hydrogen is really one big thing for Linde. One is to create new growth engines. Another one is that how to decarbonize existing business. So our strategy is really working around those areas, right? Look at existing assets and also look at the future.
That's really interesting. And so Linde sees hydrogen as the sort of future of energy in some ways?
Yeah. For hydrogen, we see it for different applications. One, of course, people talk about mobility because the front runner. Number two, hydrogen as for industry application, as a feedstock or processing, essential processing gases. Number three, energy, right? Particularly people talk ammonia, talk about liquid hydrogen to be transported for the power, for any other energy applications. So there are multiple applications. Particularly, I would highlight hydrogen is really about for hard to abate areas, because some people will argue that, hey, how come that why not talk about EV? Talk about green power direct application, which is right. I believe that even in the overall energy portfolio, that will be the bigger portion. But hydrogen has its own application as well for those hard to abate areas where you cannot easily electrify, right? Like the heavy trucks and all the big trucks where you cannot easily electrify. Then for the process industries like metal, like refinery, you cannot easily electrify. Yeah. And number three, of course, energy piece for some industries, they need to import a lot of energies. What kind of form to import? Direct cable, big cable, I don't think it is realistic. Then hydrogen becomes really one of the things people talk about in the form of ammonia or any other medium to carry through, like Japan, Korea, where they rely on the import for most of the energy.
Interesting. And I assume Linde is looking at different pathways for hydrogen in Asia.
Yeah. And for APAC, actually, the APAC is quite interesting. They are different from Europe, they're different from America, because all these countries sometimes geologically they are not connected, right? Like Korea, Japan, Singapore, Taiwan. They are not just one continent where you can establish the pipelines for that, right? So this will create a lot of different pathways for continental, like China, India, a big continent. Okay, domestic is key consideration we should embark on. They need energy. They have a lot of renewable resources. That's why that is within this continent. That's why hydrogen play a big part of it, right? They're a little bit self-sufficient. They may consider in the future import, but for me, in the short term, they need to rely on domestic. The other countries like Singapore, Korea, Japan, they need to import. That's why we see a lot of strategy in place from the government perspective and also government support to put in place to encourage import. That in terms is pathway you have to import. In what form? Ammonium, liquid hydrogen, where of course depends on maturity, right? That's why also depends on scale up. Yeah.
That's really interesting. What do you see some of the key enablers of low carbon hydrogen?
Yeah. For me, enablers, there are multiple elements. Number one, standing in the front is really about policy. Because at this moment, even in APAC, compared to Europe, compared to America, I believe a little bit lagging behind. the key thing is that, do we have a clear carbon policy, carbon tax example, right? And also, do we have really enough regulatory framework there to encourage it? And different countries have their own practices, right? Like China, India, South Australia, ASEAN countries, particularly, we don't even see clear policy in place yet. This is essential, right? Then industry, private or public, then we can work toward it, number one. Number two is about standard certifications. Of course, this needs a lot of collaborative work between industries, industry with governments, right? And so that, because otherwise you cannot easily trade hydrogen as energy. Just like today we use LNG or this energy form. Number three, technology, cost. For me, technology and cost are in tandem because technology scale up is reduce cost. Without cost coming down, just rely on the government support, things will not work, or the overall ramp up, overall transition journey will not be that easy, right? So I just highlight one thing. This is where, among all the enablers as an industry, like Linde, what we focus on, of course, is we need to lobby to the government, we need to get government support, we need to participate in certification, standards, setting, all this to help lobby in general industry. Another area which is Linde plays strongly at is technology and innovation. Because Linde, within them, under one roof, we have a lot of technology, including liquefaction. Linde is one of the largest liquefied technology provider. We even produce more than half of the liquid hydrogen in the world, right? Number two, ammonia cracking. We collaborate with Aramco. And we have this collaboration with ITM for PAM. We're also looking at other forms of electrolysis for green carbon capture. Because carbon capture is essential, is to enable the blue hydrogen. So that's why, for Linde perspective, we see that technology cost is very essential. That's why I come to a very important point about blue hydrogen, green hydrogen, some debate. For us, we see both pathways. And particularly blue hydrogen, given high cost of green, this blue hydrogen is really essential for the transition. Because currently, the green hydrogen, compared to gray, 3 times, 4 times. Compared to blue, depending on the geography, like Middle East, North America, even this blue already is just a little bit above this gray hydrogen with government support as well. So this is essential to trigger application, trigger this infrastructure, because it's essential. As soon as infrastructure is there, the green, when the wave is coming, naturally you'll be fitting this overall ecosystem.
Fascinating. Now, just before we go, we're here in Bangkok for Future Energy Asia. What's the importance of having a show that covers the whole energy value chain in Asia?
Yeah, I think Linde, I think every year we're participating because such event is very critical for 2 reasons. One is that for the industry to come together to talk, to share experiences and learning, because overall energy transition, particularly for us, low carbon hydrogen, a lot of learnings. Like Linde, we already share 50 years of learnings. We cannot sometimes boast of all the experiences, but also learnings. Learning is a cost. So for the industry to share the learning experience is very important. To connect, and also is about partnership. This is facilitated as a catalyst, as a partnership building. Number 3 is that for the industry to come together to think, to understand the challenges, then all the industry, we have to work with the public. So I think this is really, the event is really facilitated all the process.
Great to hear, Wen-Bin. And I just want to thank you for coming down to the Energy Connect studio.
Thank you, Julian.
Thanks everyone for watching, and I look forward to bringing more studio interviews in the coming days.